welcome. I feel like it's been a little while since I've been on here to do a live or a cooking demo live. So I'm super pumped to be back on. I'm just going to wait. Tonight we're doing a cooking demo with Melissa from Taste and Dash. So here she is.
Hi.
All right. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was just saying how it has been a while since I've done a live cooking demo, so I'm super pumped to be back.
I'm so excited, and thank you so much for allowing me to be a chef or a guest chef on your collective series. I think it's amazing what you're doing with your platform.
Thank you. Of course. So for those of you who are joining in live, I'm sure you saw one of our promos throughout the week. But I am Shirley from Fit Living Eats, and I am here with Melissa from Taste and Dash. And she participated as part of the Collective series, a project that I launched as part of my blog just to help support other women and chefs and wellness entrepreneurs in this space. And I'm super excited to be here with Melissa because it's been so fun to connect to people that I would probably never otherwise connect with. And I love that we both went to IIN too.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many commonalities. So I'm super excited to have you on here and really excited because I haven't made this recipe yet. So tonight is the first time that I will try the dish. So we are going to make the creamy sunflower and tahini kelp noodles. If you haven't checked out the recipe, you can grab it on my blog, fitlivingeats.com. Just search for kelp noodles. But we have an hour, which seemed like more than enough time. But for whatever reason, every time I do these, we just get lost in time. And before we know it, we're counting down the clock. So without further ado, I'm going to let you take it over. And for those of you who are watching live, if you have questions, just ask them in the comment box, and I'll stay on top of those, and then I'll make sure Melissa gets to them. But otherwise, I know a lot of you end up watching the replay on IGTV, which is totally fine too. So, Melissa, take it away.
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and I'm super excited to be here. Like I said, thank you again for allowing me to be a guest chef for the Collective series. I'm super excited, and yeah, so we just go right into it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. So today we're doing a kelp or a sunflower butter tahini kelp noodle dish, and I was super excited because I found these kelp noodles recently, or not recently, earlier in the year at a local neighborhood market. So that's what prompted me to create this dish. So
you got the same kind?
Oh, perfect.
So I have mine at Whole Foods.
Yeah, same. I got these. I found them at a local market in the neighborhood, but now, ever since I found them, now I see them all the time at Whole Foods. So
yeah.
So I guess first, what I like to do is I like to add, before we get started, I like to go ahead and put this in a bowl of water to soak them because it'll just soften them up a little bit as we're cooking the sauce and the veggies. So go ahead and get a bowl with just some fresh water.
And for those of you who might be new to kelp, kelp is basically seaweed. So there's so many minerals that are so healthy for our bodies that are found in the kelp noodles. So they're a little briny when you take them out of the package, which is also why soaking them in water is really helpful, right?
Yes. So,
yeah. They're like little rubber noodles right now.
They're so clear, and that's why I decided to do this I was inspired to do this Asian sort of dish because they remind me of a rice noodle. So clear, and I really love the texture of these noodles. It's got a nice little crunch, but as we get cooking, I found a little, not a secret, but a way to soften them up like an angel hair pasta, but we'll get to that later. So anyways, put your noodles to the side in the water. And one little side note, some people will add salt. I've read they'll add salt and lemon to boost up the softening quicker. So
Okay.
I'm just doing water because once we add into the sauce with the lime juice and everything else, it'll soften there. But that's just a little side note. If you haven't used kelp noodles and you want to soften them up with a little lemon juice, salt, and water as well. So
That's a good idea, especially if you were putting them in a raw salad. I think the only recipe I have on my blog with kelp noodles is a mason jar salad. So that would be one where it would be good to add the lemon juice and salt because it's not going to really soften up otherwise. So that's a great tip.
Yeah. All right, so before we get started with the sauce, let's go ahead and get the veggies going because the veggies take about 7 minutes to cook. So get a medium pan on medium heat.
Got it.
And about a tablespoon of oil, olive oil. If you don't have olive oil, you can use coconut oil or avocado oil. So either one.
Perfect.
There we go. I'm just going to eyeball it, but about a tablespoon. Okay.
I don't know what happened to my grocery shopping, but it's a good thing I had frozen broccoli because otherwise I would only have mushrooms and edamame, which is fine. But frozen will work, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yep.
Okay.
Frozen, fresh. Yeah, that'll work for sure. Okay, so I already chopped mine. So if anyone's watching that has, you just have the whole broccoli, go ahead and chop it to bite-sized pieces. I just did that prior, just to speed things up, so I wasn't chopping. And
So,
same with the the mushrooms. I went ahead and bought the sliced mushrooms already.
So smart.
So if you have the whole mushrooms, go ahead and start slicing them as the oil's heating up.
So in what order, or does it matter, do you suggest adding the veggies to the pan? Do they all cook at the same rate, or should you add one before the other? What do you think?
So I add the broccoli and the mushrooms together and cook those down for about 7 minutes, and then add the edamame.
Cool.
And if you have the edamame, I bought the frozen pack, so I took them out of the fridge, and then if you want to just run them under some cold water to thaw them out, that'd be good ahead of time. But yeah, that's how I got. And a little full disclosure, I bought this edamame in the whole pods, and luckily I checked today, and I realized they were the whole pods, so I actually thawed these out earlier and had to remove them from the pods before. Because I thought, okay, that's going to just be another 15 minutes right there trying to remove them from the pods. So I'm so glad I checked beforehand.
That's what you get for buying sliced mushrooms.
Yes.
They're going to make you work other ways.
Exactly. Got to balance it out somehow.
Yeah.
All right.
So people could use any vegetable they have on hand, right?
Exactly. Yes. Carrots, cauliflower, bell peppers, red, green, orange, yellow. All of those work. These two, I like the combination with the broccoli and mushrooms, and then the edamame. But yeah. Feel free to whatever you have in the fridge. That would work just as fine.
Is there anything that you would not recommend?
I'm trying to think of tomatoes. I probably wouldn't put tomatoes in there.
Yeah.
Maybe, or at the end if you wanted to drop some whole tomato, some fresh tomatoes. But no, I wouldn't cook because it would just get too soggy. I'm trying to think of another. That's the only one I can think of right now. But pretty much any vegetable, starchy vegetable would do just great.
Cool. What about potatoes?
Potatoes? I don't know how that would go. I mean, I'm sure. I don't think that would go well with the sauce. I think they would soak up the sauce and probably kind of take away the integrity of the dish. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt to try. That's not something I would want to put in. Okay.
Broccoli and mushrooms are in the pan.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and add the broccoli and the mushrooms right now. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Woo! Okay, and I know on the measurement of the mushroom said 8 ounces, so that's about just 1 container of the mushroom pack.
Okay.
For those that are wondering. Okay. So I'll just cook this down for about 7 minutes. And so as this is cooking, let's go ahead and get started on the sauce.
I'm super excited about the sauce. Anything that has like nut or seed butter in it is so decadent.
Yes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and so grab your bowl for the sauce. And we'll start with the sun butter. So this is the sun butter I'm using. It's just it's an unsweetened sun butter, very just by itself. There's no added sugars or oils.
Yeah, there's something that you guys really want to look for too, and sometimes it can be deceiving from just looking at the packaging on the front, and then you turn it around and you realize, oh crap, there's added oil or added sugar. So that's definitely something that if you're not aware of the brand or it's a new to you brand and you don't typically buy it, just take a few seconds to look at the ingredients, because really all you need is the nut or the seed and maybe some salt.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. So the one you're using, I usually get that brand, and then I found this one the other day. So yeah, these are the two I kind of go back and forth with. And then next, get your about 2 tablespoons of tahini. And I found this one, it's in a squeezable container. It's so nice and easy.
That's cool.
It's a game changer.
I bet. Tahini is one of those kind of like a more natural nut butter where it can take on the bottom and be really oily on the top. So that's very impressive. Where did you find that?
This, at my local market here in Washington, D.C., it's Yes Market. Okay. And so that's where I found it. I haven't looked to see if it's at Whole Foods, but I'll check the next time I'm there.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, it's so much easier. Okay, and then that was 2 tablespoons of tahini, and you got the 2 tablespoons of sunflower butter, and now we're going to add a tablespoon of sesame oil.
So there's different kinds of sesame oils on the market, and I think sometimes people can get confused because there can be like light sesame oil, there's toasted sesame oil, and then like mine is a darker sesame oil. It's pure sesame oil. So what do you recommend using in cooking?
For cooking, I like the toast. I think you might have. Is it the darker, the toasted one? Is it yours?
Yeah, it's a pure sesame oil, so it's a little bit darker in color, not quite as dark as the toasted sesame oil, but I go back and forth between the two. I like toasted as well.
Yeah, I like the toasted sesame oil. There's just a little bit more of a flavor there. I feel like the lighter one is a little more subtle, and for a dish like this where we're only just adding a little bit of the sesame oil, I want it still to pop with everything else. So that's why I like using the darker toasted one or the darker sesame oil versus the lighter version. All right, so I'm going to just kind of, as we're multitasking, I'm just check on your veggies, make sure they're not burning.
That's the key to not spending hours in the kitchen, learning how to multitask.
Yes. So those are going. Okay, let's move on. What's next? Okay, so 3 tablespoons of coconut aminos. If you don't have the coconut aminos, no worries. You can use soy sauce. I've been a fan of coconut aminos now for a couple years, and I love that it's become mainstream. Where in the past, I feel like you would just find it at a health store, Whole Foods, and now I've seen it at Target.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's become more popular, and I like that not only is it gluten-free, but it's soy-free as well. So there hasn't really historically been anything like that. You kind of had to pick one or the other. So I like that. And for those of you who maybe haven't used it, it is a little bit sweeter than soy sauce. So when you're substituting things, you may not even need, the total amount of honey or maple syrup or whatever it is you're cooking with, because the coconut aminos is going to be a little bit sweet on its own.
Right, yes. Okay. So, and now we'll do a juice. I usually do about a half of a lime. It's about a tablespoon. So we'll add our lime juice.
Oh, it smells so good already.
I love this. The combination of the sunflower butter and tahini and sesame, it's just so fragrant and so, I love it.
And tahini is so mild. And then the sunflower butter is actually, I think, it's kind of potent in flavor in a good way, but
Yeah,
it kind of helps balance each other out well.
they do. And I don't know if you know, for me, I noticed I used to put some almond butter. I used to make everything with almond butter, baked with almond, and I still love almond butter. But I noticed the difference swapping out with sesame butter or sunflower butter and the tahini. It's just a lot easier in the digestion.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot, I don't feel, it doesn't feel as heavy when, I still eat almond butter, but I just noticed a big difference in that shift. And so I definitely have been using that more in baked goods, and so I love it.
I think a lot of times we tend to get stuck on, using one kind of nut or seed butter, but I find, I eat a ton of it in my day.
Yeah.
So I like to add variety where I can so that I'm not always going back to the same thing over and over because, like you noticed, you can digest the others a little bit better. So adding in variety kind of gives your body a break too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we got that. So now let's do the chili paste. So this is the chili paste I'm using. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm going to mess it up. So
you just want like chili garlic sauce, right? Or paste or something like that.
Yeah, so if you don't have this, you can use sriracha. And if you don't, and the 2 teaspoons that I'm suggesting for this recipe, if you don't like spicy, it's so mild. It's very subtle. It's really not. Is. I'm sorry?
It really is. I don't like spicy, but I use this in my cooking.
Yeah, it's really subtle, and it just gives it a nice little pop of spice without being overwhelming. And again, if you don't have the chili paste, sriracha, and if you don't have that, you can, omit that altogether and maybe throw in a garlic clove. You still want a little bit of garlic, so that's good. And then now we'll do some ginger. So I've already peeled my ginger. I don't know how you peel yours. I just use a potato peeler, and I just peel the skin off.
When I'm feeling really lazy, I use my knife and try to stick to the skin and not the flesh. But in my cooking classes, I always teach people the spoon trick.
Ooh.
Have you done that?
No, I'm not familiar with the spoon trick.
Okay. If you get your piece of ginger and then you just use the back of a spoon, the edge of the spoon, and just kind of scrape it against the side, and the peel will come off really easily, and then you don't lose a bunch of flesh along with it.
Oh, that's oh my god, that's a game changer. I'm gonna have to try that the next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need about 2 teaspoons of the grated ginger. So,
did you use a microplane to grate yours?
I
what
have
are you
this.
Using?
I have this little handheld grater. I need to get one of those. I misplaced mine, and I have yet to replace it.
It's definitely one of my recommended tools. I use it for everything: ginger, garlic, lemon zest.
Yeah.
And you could use ground ginger if people didn't have fresh ginger, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what would you recommend the amount be for substitution?
I would probably, because I feel like the spiced ginger isn't as fragrant and as potent as the raw, so I would probably double the recipe or maybe 3 teaspoons of it versus the 2 teaspoons that I have. Yeah, it's probably about 3 teaspoons to just get that ginger flavor.
I feel like I could just drink the sauce. It smells so good.
I know, it's so good. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a half a teaspoon of salt. And I put about 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, depending on the preference of the consistency you want. So I usually start off with 2, and then I end up adding 3 if it's too thick. So it just all depends. So I've already measured out 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to just go ahead and add that in right now.
Sometimes with these nut butters, whenever you add water, it actually thickens before it starts to thin out, which I think is so interesting. You would think it would just automatically thin
it out.
Sometimes it will almost become more pasty, and then it will start to thin out. So if that happens to you guys, don't worry. Just keep adding some water so you get the consistency that you want.
Right. Okay, so take a whisk and then go ahead and whisk away. And again, if you aren't using the garlic chili paste or the sriracha, you're going to add some fresh garlic. Just have it minced so it's like the same texture as the grated ginger. So it kind of blends in with the sauce, and you don't want any bite-sized pieces or thicker pieces.
So what is the texture we're going for here?
Not super thick and not watery. So just kind of, let me see. So it's a little on the, it's thin but not, I don't know how to explain it. But here we go. I know, I'm like set up the way I'm set up in the kitchen. I wish I could have shown. Let's see. If you can see this, I'm gonna have to back up. So yeah, it's just a nice, I'd say right in the middle. It's not too thick and not too thin.
So like when you put a spoon through it, maybe a consistent, thicker drizzle, not like a gloppy drop.
Right, yeah, it's just gonna drop right down, exactly.
Because it won't really thin out when we add it to the veggies and the noodles, right? So
right.
We want it to be
so
where we want it before we add it in, yeah.
Right, and we want it to coat nicely on the veggies and the noodles. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and check on the veggies. Looking good. I like a little bit of a crunch with the broccoli, so I guess you would call it al dente. So that's why I kind of cook it until 7 minutes, because then by the time you add the edamame and the sauce, it'll continue cooking, and I don't want the broccoli to get mushy, so I shoot for the 7-minute mark, and I think we're about there.
That sauce would be really good as like a peanut sauce alternative for people who have peanut allergies.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes really similar, and it's so good. I snuck a little taste while you were stirring your veggies.
It is so good. I made this dish earlier in the year and just kind of played around with it when I discovered the kelp noodles. And since then, I've made it for a couple friends, and last month we had a couple friends over, and they were just like all over it. They wanted the recipe right away. They ordered the kelp noodles that morning. The following morning, they ordered them. I didn't know you can get them on Amazon, 3 for a pack. So I got everybody on the kelp noodle train now.
That's awesome. And this is one of those dishes too that looks like it took so much more time than it actually did.
Yeah. It's super easy to get together. I mean, we could seriously make this in under 30 minutes, like you said. It's just by multitasking and cooking the veggies at the same time, prepping the sauce. It's super easy.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add our thawed edamame. So I've already measured this. This bag was actually 1 cup, so it was perfect amount.
1 cup. In the shell, might I add.
I am
Mine,
so
on the
glad.
other hand, was like 2 cups.
Yes, exactly. I am so glad I checked. I was like, oh my god, that's all I needed was to sit here for like 15 minutes and deshell the edamame. All right, so I add the edamame and kind of cook it. I mean, they're already cooked, so you just want to like warm it up for about another minute or two before we add in the sauce.
Okay.
Right. It's so pretty. It's so bright green. I love the colors.
It really is. It just looks so fresh. And, you know, I think like with quarantine and Corona, people not going out as much, it's interesting because usually in the summertime, the food recipes that will be trending are lighter and a little bit healthier. But what we've been seeing these past few months is actually comfort food. And so I think people are just craving those foods that are going to be comforting to them. So this is one of those dishes that is comforting. It's decadent. It has noodles, but at the same time, it's also really light and refreshing and healthy.
Yes, definitely. That's another thing with the kelp noodles. I'm sure you've noticed too, just how light they are. I mean, I still eat my plant-based pastas, lentil, chickpea, whole wheat, and I always, you know, it's great meals, but you know, I always feel really full. And after a bowl of kelp noodles, it's so light, like I don't feel lethargic, and you know, still feel
and some people can have a hard time digesting lentils and chickpeas, and so those healthier alternatives are actually kind of difficult for them to eat. So kelp noodles is easier on the digestive system too, right?
Yes.
So still a good noodle alternative, and for those of you who are sensitive to beans and lentils, could be a good replacement for you.
Yes, definitely. And kelp noodles, they're low in if someone's looking for something low in calorie, they're so low in calorie. There's not much to it, and they have a lot of vitamins and minerals. I think it's high in iron, iodine, calcium, magnesium. So there's a lot of benefits there for as you know, as far as not having a lot of the calories. It definitely takes the micronutrients take over.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so now the edamame is looking great. Everything's looking vibrant. So I'm going to go ahead and add the sauce.
This is one of those sauces where when you pour it in and there's some extra, it's like you just want to lick the bowl as long as no one's watching. I won't do it here, but I cannot guarantee that when we get off of the live.
Yeah.
Put it aside for now.
Okay, so I'm going to use tongs just to kind of toss the veggies with the sauce. You may want to turn down the heat if you don't want to burn the sauce, so you may have to turn down the heat to medium-low.
Okay.
All right. So this only takes about a minute or two just to kind of warm up the sauce, and then we can go ahead and get the kelp noodles and add the kelp noodles. All right. So if you want to go ahead and rinse or drain and rinse your noodles.
Okay.
So we got that. And what I found easier, sometimes, not always, because sometimes I forget, but I'll take some kitchen scissors and I'll just chop or cut the kelp noodles to break it up. It's a lot easier, so when you're serving it, they're not all tangled together.
That's a good idea. Kind of like zucchini noodles.
Yeah.
You get really long strands, and it can be hard.
Exactly. Okay, so got some nice bite-sized pieces, or not bite-sized pieces, but a lot easier to serve and divvy it up. So I'm going to go ahead and add the noodles. And if you haven't turned down your heat, now's a good time to turn it down to low. And then go ahead and use your tongs to evenly distribute the sauce onto the noodles.
Oh my gosh, this looks so good. I
Does
can't
it?
wait for dinner.
It smells so
Yeah.
good. So when I first made this dish, I literally popped in the noodles with the sauce, and not even a minute later, I was serving it and eating it. And, it has that really nice crunch, which I love. But last month when I served this for some friends for dinner, we had a little dinner together, and not everything was finished. So this ended up sitting for about 15-20 minutes while we were waiting for everything. And that was a game changer there, because the noodles, because they were sitting in the sauce for a good 15 minutes, they were able to soften even more because of the lime juice and the, just the sauce in general. It broke it down, and it came out as like an angel hair pasta texture. So if you want a softer noodle, or you're looking for something on the softer side like an angel hair pasta, you just allow it to sit in the sauce for a little bit longer, like 15-20 minutes, and you'll get a completely different noodle. Because right now, if you serve it, you're going to have a little bit of a crunch, a little more on the al dente side. So it's really a preference, but I love it. I love it both ways, but that way was really, really good.
So is this recipe good leftover?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. I've had leftovers in the past. Yeah, in an airtight container in the refrigerator for about 3-4 days is good. And you just warm it up.
It's probably good cold too, right? Have you eaten it cold?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, look at this. Look how good that looks. And if we weren't, we still killed it. We're at 30 minutes, and I'm telling you, usually this takes me an hour. So if we weren't talking, you could definitely have that on the table in like under 20 minutes even.
Yes.
So easy. And it literally looks like pasta.
Yeah, it's so good. And then if you want, you can add for a little topping, you can add some scallions and some sesame seeds. So I have a little bit of black and white sesame seeds. And let's see, fork.
So when I went to culinary school, it was actually a raw vegan training, and during the course they taught us about food photography, and they always said you finish with something black like pepper or sesame seeds, because it just makes everything on the plate pop. So even if you're cooking for yourself at home, or especially if you're entertaining, just adding like a crack of black pepper, or in this case black sesame seeds, just helps finish the dish and makes it really stand out on its own.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah, so here we go.
I've already had a bite.
Did you?
I treated myself before I added my garnish, and it's so good. This is one of those where you know that it's so light. You're basically just eating veggies and sauce that you could sit here and before you know it, probably eat the entire pan. And kind of not feel too guilty about doing it.
Exactly. And it's full of fiber. One thing I like about the edamame, which is why I wanted to add the edamame, for the protein, just to get some protein in here. So yeah, you got your healthy fats, you got your carbs, fiber, and your protein all in this one little plant-based dish.
It's so good. You guys have to try this. Don't be intimidated by the kelp noodles. They are so easy. They're actually easier than boiling pasta, I think.
Yeah, because they're already cooked. You just got to throw them in the sauce and warm it up, or have it cold with whatever else you're having it with. So, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to kick you guys off now because I want to really dive into my plate. But Melissa, thank you so much for joining me and joining everyone else who tuned in live and is going to tune in later and has already checked out your recipe on my website. It is definitely a staple to keep on hand and couldn't be any easier. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so to remind you guys can find the recipe on fitlivingeats.com. And make sure you are following Melissa at Taste in Dash, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You can
And
find
then her website is tasteanddash.com. So go check out her stuff, check out her amazing recipes, see what she's all about, and stay tuned for the next Collective Series guest. And enjoy your dish. Happy cooking, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.